Welcome to my channel, Ken here. Today let's take a look at the Audio-Technica ATH-ADX5000 headphones. Let's go! Even though Audio-Technica sent me these headphones, the thoughts and opinions are mine and mine alone. Please hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think of these headphones in the comments below. I've left affiliate links below if you're interested in purchasing these headphones. So here are the Audio-Technica ATH-ADX5000s. That's quite a mouthful actually. So let's just call them 5000s. So these are the top of the line Audio-Technica headphones. They are open back headphones or circumaural. That means they go around the ear. They have an impedance of 420 ohms. They are super light to me, 270 grams or about a half a pound. So they feel extremely light. They come with a detachable cord with their own proprietary plug and very easy to mount. They fall out easily so you don't break the headphones or the cord, so that's good. Comes with a 10 feet cable. This cable is a little bit stiff. I don't think it's uncomfortable at all, and the stiffness kind of works in the studio. I think that it's actually pretty cool that it's a little bit stiff so it doesn't get tangled up in your chair or gear or the cords. So that's, to me, that's a positive. They're pretty efficient at 100 dBs per milliwatt, so that's relatively efficient. They're pretty easy to drive, so I try them with iPads, iPhone, my HP A4 by Benchmark, a Cord Alto, Cranbourne, Lynx audio interface. They all drove them pretty nicely. I have to say though that for iPhones and iPads, they're not going to be super loud, but loud enough, I think, for me. The way you adjust these, they have these little metal parts right here that slides in a rail with the little resistance, and there's these little tabs that locks it in place. So it's pretty easy to adjust. Sits nicely on the head, doesn't move around at all, probably due to their lightness, and the clamp force is pretty good. We'll talk about the clamp a little bit later in the video. So I had to break these in at full blast for a couple of days in order to test them. They sounded very brittle initially and overly bright, but they kind of settled in after a day or two of playing. So don't listen to them critically unless you break them in. And that's a general thing with all headphones. I find that you got to break them in order to get the true representation of what the headphones are about. So roughly $2,000 for these headphones. I think they face some stiff competition. So I'll talk about their pros and cons. The pros clearly is that they're very light. So they don't feel fatiguing to wear on your head. You can wear them for many hours without fatigue. The general criticism of most headphones that I have is when the left and right are not clearly marked. And they're not very clear on these. There's this little tiny little embossed right and left here, and that's it. Since there's nothing that really differentiates left and right, I always had to look at what's left and right every time I pick them up. This could be clearer, but I think this is an industry problem as a general thing. Please mark them left and right, especially when you're working in the studio where you just got to grab them, put them on. It doesn't take much. So the other thing that I have an issue with these headphones, so when you put them on and you adjust them, which is very easily on the head, I always feel like they're more pressure up here than down here, and if you push them here, it actually changes the sound a little bit. So I think this is an individual thing for people's heads, but on my head I found that's a slight issue. So I got used to them, and I describe the way they sound when I don't have my hands on them, like this, where I don't have to push here, because it warms them up quite a bit if you push them on the bottom. So the ear pads are material, very soft. I think it feels like memory foam or something. I find them very comfortable. They don't have any issues with the ear pads. As a matter of fact, they're very comfortable. So above average to me in the feel. Also, they have give. The headphones, the cable itself only comes with a 1/4-inch plug. You don't get the 4-pin, and you don't get a mini plug. So that's a separate purchase if you want that. So how do they sound? Well, they initially sounded super bright and brittle, but as they broke in, that kind of got alleviated, and the upper range started smoothing out, but they're still bright to me. If you want a bright headphone, these are it, but without being obnoxiously bright. They still have a nice lower mid-range, and they have a nice bass. However, speaking of that bass, they're a little bit bass shy, under 50, 60 hertz. But then there's a bump above that a little bit. They do have some warmth on the bottom end, but the very bottom end is lacking, so I would EQ that up. The other thing is about that lower mid-range. It is a little bit elevated, but it never really bothered me that they were. It kind of gave a fullness to the sound to compensate for that bright top end, but they are bright. The other thing I have to say is that that upper mid frequencies, 2-3K, I don't know, there's something odd about that to me, to my ears anyway. So I kind of spent some time trying to figure out what is going on there. It's because what's happening here is that the upper mids and the lower treble are very, very detailed, and it's very good, except for that weird resonant, dare I say, a little bit of distortion around 2 or 3K that kind of colors it. And I found that a little odd. So let's talk about the left to right perspective. This is where I think these headphones are very, very good. It's pinpoint accuracy across the spectrum from left to right. You can hear that panning very precisely, and you can also hear the cymbal placement on the drum kit very, very easily. This is definitely one of its strengths. As far as dynamics are concerned, so I always listen to two different kinds of dynamics. There's the macro dynamics, which is big explosions or things coming out of nowhere, and micro dynamics, which is when you listen to, let's say, a drum kit and you hear that snare. How dynamic is that snare? How well can you hear the compression? In the microdynamics part, I find them a little bit lacking compared to some of my other listenings to other products. It doesn't have to do with the amplification. Speaking of amplification, these are pretty forgiving about the amplification, although they're very good at identifying what a headphone amplifier sounds like, especially in this price range. I think it's required that you check out as many headphones as you can, because they all differ, and there's a lot of competition around this price point. Now, with these particular headphones, if you value comfort and efficiency, and I also think they're well made, then you should definitely put them on the list. But for production, there is some quirkiness involved here. It would be up to you whether it's important to you or not. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, take care.